and welcome back to Talis TV.
We'd just like to say rest in peace to Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013. On today's show.
New to Talis, the New Year 7s have come to Talis. How are they getting on? Do they like Talis? What do they think of Talis? And what do the staff and students think of the New Year 7s?
Well, how could anyone be as good as them?
Bullying. Even bullying happens in the best schools. So what is bullying like in Talis? What is bullying? How do we stop bullying? What do you think of bullying?
Review of the month. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is out now. What do we think of it?
The locker situation. Do you agree with the time limit? What changes would you make? Now we go over to Sahabi for the story about the Year 7s.
We are a few weeks into school, but we are still new to Thomas Tallis. So we have decided to catch up with some new students to hear their say of Thomas Tallis.
Tallis is a really good school because people are really so friendly here and you can make lots of friends. Tallis is actually a nice school. It's good. It's a really good school. It's really fun. You don't really get that much homework, so that's good. And it's like a big school and some people care about you.
I like it, it's good, it's a new change because it's such a big school now. It's like, and everyone's really nice.
Really nice. I've made a lot of friends.
They're all right.
Talis is a really fun school. I never knew that school could be so fun.
Hello everyone, welcome to Tallis TV. We are here wanting to discuss the issue of the New Year 7s. What do you think of the New Year 7s, sir?
In the first instance, I could not help but compare the New Year 7s with my last year, who are currently in Year 8. And I loved my last year, the Year 8s. I thought they were fantastic years. So I thought, how could anyone be as good as them? So it took me a little bit of time to come to understand the Year 7s. But now that I know the group of young people that I'm working with, I realise that they are every bit as good as my last year. So I feel incredibly privileged to be working with them and helping them learn throughout their time here at Thomas Tallis. I thought the last year that I had were going to be far better than the current Year 7s, but you as a year, you've proven to me that you are every bit their equal, so I'm absolutely impressed.
Yeah. Do you think that we are getting on okay?
I think that you as a year group are getting on far better than okay. I think you've really bonded. When we went out to various parts of London and the theme was community and collaboration, and what I was looking to do was to continue to engineer opportunities for the group, you as a year, you as a tutor group, for you to develop a shared sense of identity, to know what you're about, to further strengthen your relations. I think we've done incredibly well. I think lots of people who were worried about things whenever they started at Thomas Tallis, those worries didn't really stand up to any scrutiny, and now everyone, well, my impression is that everyone seems really, really happy.
How would you improve this year?
That's a very good question. That supposes that there are things to improve. I don't know if there are things to improve. What I will say is that none of us should be complacent, none of us should be lazy, that we still need to be aiming to be better than we are already, and we've set incredibly high standards, and you've heard me in Assembly talk about raise the bar. You know, you've set standards for yourself as a year, and it's about maintaining them. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say it's about being better, I would say it's about continuing to do all the brilliant things that you've started doing.
Thank you for your time, sir.
It's always a pleasure.
Well, I certainly feel at home at Tallis now. Farah, how about you?
I love Talis.
Now the story about bullying.
Bullying? What is it? We caught up with some students to find out what it's really like.
How do you feel about school bullying? I think it's hurtful. I think it's horrible. and it's very nice.
Have you ever been bullied?
Yes! Yes!
For how long?
Basically, living my whole life in primary school. The whole one school year. Whole life in primary school. Whole one school year.
Do you think bullying should stop?
Yes!
I feel like there isn't actually any school bullying, which I've seen, so I think that's good. So, what do you like? I don't like bullying. I think bullying's bad.
Have you ever been bullied?
No, I've never been bullied.
I just think that there's no point of it because they're not going to get any fun out of it.
Mainly bullying is just like stereotypes. I think the school deals really well with bullying.
Well, it happens in like every school, so I don't think it's very, it's not like it just happens in certain schools, and I've never been bullied. I've never been bullied in my life.
I think it's bad because it reduces children's self-esteem.
Have you ever been bullied?
Not really, because I'm quite popular myself. So
Have you ever bullied someone?
I think once or twice in my primary school. I think I didn't really mean to do it, but
Have you ever been bullied?
Yeah.
About what?
About people saying that I look like a boy. I thought I'd done him and he beat me up and threw me on the floor.
My height, because in primary school I was really tiny in year 4, and then they bullied me.
And how can we prevent it from happening?
Maybe if you, like, with the lunch lines and stuff, like, well, I don't think it happens that much in this school, so preventing it probably by, like, teaching the bullies a lesson, showing them how it affects the people that they bully.
A good way to stop bullying is TAG, tag. Tell them how you feel, ask them to stop, and if that doesn't work, get an adult.
Bullying sounds horrible. How can we prevent this from happening?
So, Miss Roberts, how do you feel about bullying?
I think that bullying is unfortunately something that happens in all, whenever people get together, young people, old people, whatever, there's something about human beings that mean that some people don't want to treat other people well. But one of the reasons that we have rules in society, one of the reasons that we put a high premium on people being kind to each other, people being nice to each other, is because that helps us survive better, it helps us survive together. So I don't ever believe anybody who says there's no bullying in this school, or there's no bullying in that school, or there's no bullying in this workplace, because people unfortunately do tend to be bullies. So the most important thing is to try and work out why, and then make sure that people are protected so that we can try to stop it. But the most difficult thing is that people who are being bullied are very frightened about the consequences of it, so it's really difficult to get them to be honest about what's happening and to face up to it. Because unfortunately in school we can't be with people 24 hours a day, so we can't, even though we do everything that we can to keep people safe, there will be times that are outside of our control, outside of our power. But the hallmark of a good school is that we really take it seriously and try and fix it. So try and fix it so that the person who's been bullied feels better and their life gets better, and we try and fix it so that the person who's done the bullying stops doing it and stops getting a feeling of power from being horrible to people.
We hate bullying here at Talis TV.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Over to Matthew with the View of the Month.
The 29th of October was an ordinary day for some, but for others it was the day they'd all been waiting for. Following the phenomenal success of Assassin's Creed 3, the eagerly awaited Assassin's Creed Black Flag was released to worldwide acclaim, as it picked up from its last game's surprising cliffhanger. But will it be a hit with the fans?
Do you like the game?
Yeah, kind of.
Have you played Assassin's Creed?
No. It's an amazing game. It's
Do you think there are any ways they can improve it? No, it's perfect.
Hi Mr. Oakes and Mr. Odd. Welcome to the Review of the Month. This month we are going to be looking at Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Have you played the game? If you haven't, would you buy it?
I haven't played it yet, no. I think I probably would get it, yeah. It does look good game. I'm a bit behind on the Assassin's Creed series though, so I'll probably need to get the other ones as well first.
I haven't got it either, and I probably wouldn't buy it. I'm not really that into stealth games. I find them quite boring and quite tedious, so probably not for me.
What do you think of the new Assassin's Creed game? From hearing about it.
It's got extremely good reviews. I will say that from what I've seen on the adverts and what I've seen on IGN and YouTube, it's got extremely good graphics, and it does look, as the rest of the series, it does look like it's got a very good storyline as well. So if you're into that kind of game, I think it's probably a good buy.
Yeah, I think it does look really good. Again, everything I've read and seen, magazines and whatnot, all point to it being really good. And the trailers, always for the Assassin's Creed games, the trailers look good. They've got a nice aesthetic, very cinematic kind of trailers. But yeah, it looks really good.
Do you think students under 18 should be playing Assassin's Creed? And if not, why?
I think that there needs to be a line between what content should be readily available to young kids. I think that Assassin's Creed, by definition, is the sort of thing that shouldn't really be marketed to youngsters, and it's not intentionally marketed to people of your age. It tends to be marketed a bit higher. I think the trailers are sort of rated about 15 or 18, and generally sort of shown either later at night on the telly or later or on films at the cinema with a sort of higher rating.
And there is specifically gaming aimed towards the adult audience, and that game is as well. So I think there's content really that an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old shouldn't actually be exposed to. So I don't think that, people of your age group, for instance, should be playing that game. Sorry to sound like such a meanie, but...
I mean, obviously, people of your age are going to completely disagree with us and won't think that it's something you shouldn't be playing. But I think that's a problem with the whole system, is that games for older people and things that are aimed at older people in the past, the younger people weren't quite so aware of them. Whereas these days, you can pick up games and watch films and whatever really, really easily. I think the whole system is kind of geared towards openness and accessibility.
I'd like to add to that because, it's exactly what Mr. Rod's saying here. Is like when you go into a game shop, for instance, all the over 18 sort of like titles are in reach of you guys. Yeah, they're right in front of you. Whereas when we were younger, that kind of stuff would be right on the top shelf, where you necessarily couldn't see it and you certainly couldn't reach it.
I never really had that problem.
Well, you didn't know. I've still got that problem, but yeah. So I think it's so open that you kind of guys want to play it. Of course you do.
And social media and things like YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
Stuff, it's
it's right in front of you.
The exposure of it is always in your face. So.
Just from looking at the game, how would you rate it? 1 being bad and 10 being great.
Just by graphical kind of overall. As I said to you before, I mean, the one thing that puts me off is the stealth kind of element, which I know is a very strong kind of. So I would probably say 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'd probably go 8 or 9. I don't tend to give anything a 10, and especially since I haven't played it. So 8 would probably be what we're looking at.
Okay, thank you for the interview, and
Thank
back
you.
to the studio.
Wow, that game looks good. Now, our last story of this episode, the lockers. What's your opinion?
Lockers is a problem that affects us all. So, we caught up with some students and staff to find out their opinions.
What do you think about the lockers?
They're tiny.
I think they're a bit small because obviously I was in year 11 last year, and I thought they were small, so.
I feel like it would be bigger. I don't have a locker. because you have to pay for them and you have to like put a deposit down. But yeah, I think they could be bigger.
I think they could be a little bit bigger because I have the scrum and like me and my cousin. I don't like it because mine's right at the bottom, so I don't like bending down.
Yeah, they really help, but sometimes if you don't bring your locker key, yeah, it's not good.
What do you think about the lockers? Do you have any like improvements you could add?
Maybe the time limits.
Oh, I think it's like not really reasonable because you should be able to get to them at any time because they could have something that you need.
I think that's perfectly acceptable. If you need to get something from your locker and you need to get it, you can get it at those times. There's no need for you to get it any other time on your, you can like, alright, I used to bend the rules a little bit. If I was walking past my locker, I quickly open it and get something out. But there's no need to have a more allocated time than you've already got the 5 minutes and the big end of lunch and end of break. That's perfectly acceptable.
I like my locker. My locker's right outside my tutor room, so I think it's handy. But I think everyone else's should be. But the only thing is, as you can see there, ripped off, and some people didn't return their locker keys. So.
I would use mine more, and I'm being honest. I would use mine more if they were in my block where my tutor is, because I could go outside there whilst waiting, like for my tutor to come, and I could just put my coat in there in the morning or something.
Welcome to Telus TV, Mr. D. We wanted to chat to you about the lockers at Thomas Stannis.
No problem.
Firstly, what do you think of the lockers?
The lockers were the best quality lockers we could possibly afford. Not having the nasty steel doors that you don't get dented. The doors are made of exactly the same materials you would find in any good sports centre and cost in excess of £140,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to cut every faculty's budget for their furniture in their rooms so that all the students could have lockers.
Do you think these lockers are better than the old school ones?
Depends how old you want to go back. If you went back 20 years, no, because you had a huge 6-foot locker for 4 students where you had better coat hanging space. But they just take up too much space. So if you go back to the ones that we left behind, yes, because they were the nasty steel doors which got dented and pushed in, you can't do that to these doors. If you did, you'll break your fist.
Do you think these lockers are safe?
Yeah, the 5-digit key numbers are accurate. There's only a certain number of them in the school. They're all different numbers. The locker number cannot be traced back unless you're new to the student. So if the student loses their key, 579555, I can find out who it is, but nobody else can.
Do you think Year 7s are responsible enough to have lockers?
Yeah, they come from a primary school where they would have had a space, not maybe a locker, but definitely would have had a space to keep their work, to keep everything else. So it's just one step up. It gives them the opportunity to be a little bit more independent. It gives them the opportunity to decide what to take where. So if you don't need to take home your humanities book at night, you don't take it home. Whereas if you just had a bag in school, you'd have to take it home. So yeah, it's just it's a learning curve.
Would you ever consider having a bigger lockers put in? If you were a student, would you think the amount of time you have to go in the lockers was acceptable?
If I had the budget, could, but where? We've only got one more bay left where I didn't put lockers in, so we could have more lockers, but then it would be unfair if everybody didn't get the same size. That was the optimum size for the space that we had. If you're going to your locker first thing in the morning and you get here on time, it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to go to your locker. What are you doing? You're either putting something in or you're taking something out. So that's okay. Then you can go back there again at the beginning of break, and you can go back there again at the beginning of lunch. Then you go back there again at the beginning of the end of the day. So that adds up to actually about 25 minutes a day if you put it all together. So that's quite reasonable. If you have to go back to it more, it's not the locker's fault. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today.
It's been awesome.
Sure has been. See you next time.